Good morning, Grand Rising. Welcome to Presence of Light with Charlie Riverman Bergeron, held here on Humanity Healing every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. And I'm from the southwest coast of Maine in the city of York. And it's a beautiful sunny morning here. We have been a little wet, a couple of days ago from the remnants of Hurricane Ida, but there was no real damage other than lots of water, which is a blessing for us. And I often wish I could take that water and send it to those areas of the world where they need water. They're having droughts. So let's all think about the abundance of things that we have and be thankful, and to offer our love and care for those who are experiencing lack around the world. I don't know where that came from, but that's good morning to each of you. Today, the topic is releasing into the light. And the word releasing has been a very strong word for me lately. Releasing, releasing, releasing. And this morning when I arose, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And so I listen and I ask. And it's always amazing because I sit down and write my show notes before this, and it just flows through. And I'm always amazed when I read through it and I keep saying, oh my, does this make sense? And what I realized was that I need to release this this sense, this childhood sense of, am I going to get an A on my paperwork, or am I, who's judging me? And so I start to talk with that, because that's part of releasing. Many of us, and this isn't in my show notes, but many of us are suffering from teachers, parents, loved ones who have always felt the need to correct us. And that, in many ways, might have been a positive suggestion by them for us. But mostly, many of us took it as we're not good enough, or we're not worthy. And so this is what we're releasing into the light right now. And this is the message. And I started, thinking about the challenges in my life right now, and the things that I've been going through over the past year and a half, or I'm going to say a year and a half, that we've all been going through with this virus situation, and the changing of the world, the changing of financial systems and rules and regulations, and they're not in our best interest, most of them. And yet the world has got us arguing with each other, which occupies us from really addressing what's going on in the world, where we're so engaged with I'm right, you're wrong attitude. And, it often makes me wonder if this is not a planned ploy. So, with that said, the word releasing for all of us is a challenge. Morning, Carrie. Good morning, Barbara. Good morning, Lupita. Good morning, Dion. So this is a challenge for all of us right now, is releasing things that no longer are either credible or no longer serve us in, or will serve us in our future self. Because we know that who we are right now is changing, just like growing up, and we were children, now we're adults, and so it changed. We changed, our whole mindset changed, our learning changed, our way of doing things has changed. If we look at Mother Earth, and this is the relationship I came with, was Mother Earth is also growing up. Mother Earth is also changing. Mother Earth is also releasing. Why would we not be releasing? Why would we not be changing if she is changing? We are part of Mother Earth. We don't call her Mother Earth just out of poetic endearment. Mother Earth. If we didn't have planet Earth, we wouldn't exist. We may exist somewhere else, but we exist here on planet Earth. And this is part of the releasing is how do we release the teachings that we are superior to Mother Earth, or we are better than, or we know more than, or this judgment? How do we release the teachings of thousands of years that have been incorrect, that have been only placed in our past to direct us to benefit someone other than ourselves? And if we look at the history of humanity, this has been its story. That groups of people decided, I'm going to make the rules for you. We commonly elected them, or chose them to be our leaders because we felt that they were the best to be in that position. However, over time, they became corrupted and more corrupted and more corrupted. If you look in every civilization, even the ones that have failed, the leaders of those were very corrupt beings. They created rules that served them in the highest good, not the whole population. And that was, what we've lived for thousands of years. And right now, as Mother Earth is shifting, the universe is shifting. Let's put it that first, and Mother Earth is shifting within the universe because the universe is Mother Earth's mother, if you will. We're all one family, and uh, it's how do we come back into that place and now think about as we move forward, what can we release, and how do we release it, or where do we release it to? And that's what came in the message, releasing into the light. So many of you hear me talk about peace, light, and love, my journey, my near death, and that was the steps. We are love at the highest level. We are become light, and then we peacefully come into this plane of existence. And when we go back, we go through that stage. We go peace, light, and back to love. So we are love. This is really what we are. We're the essence of love, that the energy that flows throughout the multiverse and enters into every form, physical form that exists. What we do with that is a choice that we have, but we're never taught that. We're never taught what love is. Most of us grew up with uh, love not being readily available, or available only at certain times, or because our parents and our ancestors struggled with that. So why wouldn't we have that struggle within us? So the word releasing for the past 2 years has been real big in my life, and I'm sure in all of yours. And it doesn't matter where you live or who you are or what you believe in. We all are realizing we're sort of like I thought of my dog this morning shedding. We were shedding, the fur, preparing for the next season. And believe me, there's a lot of dog hair in this house. Anyway, that's what we're doing. We have to put some levity into what's going on, because if we think too seriously, we create this morbidity within ourselves, and we create more suffering for us. It's nobody else doing it, it's we're creating it. So I laugh and I joke, but in reality it's very serious, and there's no quick fix. this is the key that I've been dealing with, is there is no quick fix to this, and we're all evolving together. So it's a part of Mother Earth's evolution, and it's also a part of our evolution to understand clearly that we can point the finger in all directions. And yes, there are certain situations and persons, etc., that we can put blame on for being what we would call in a state of error. But when we look at that person as a mirror, we can also see in ourselves where the errors are within ourselves. And we don't like to readily admit those. We like to think that we're above that. Yet in our daily life, I think if you start to recognize where we are doing something very similar to the people that we're not happy with or the situations we're not happy with, it gives us an ability to become aware. And once we become aware of those moments, we can then take a moment to say, I need to reflect on this. And if it's negative for that person to do that, and I'm doing it, then I'm being negative as well. And that negativity within ourselves is the barrier between us and the light. And it's a wall we build that we have to climb over or tear down. If we look at our lives, and just our own lifespan, we've got quite a wall built that tells us that as long as I stay within this wall that I've created, I'm okay. And and so anybody outside of that wall that wants to attack me, I've got some sort of protection field. Well, this is the mindset that we live under, that at some level we're always at war with somebody. We're fighting something, or we're against something. And what would it be like if we started to realize and tore down that wall, and or put some windows in it and you could see the light coming through the wall instead of this big dark wall? What would it be like to peek out those windows and say, oh, that looks nice over there. That looks peaceful. So here we are. Mother Earth is changing. We are changing with her because we are her children. We are part of Mother Earth. Whether we like to claim that or not, we like to think that we're, not part of it. But the physical part of us is all water. It's water, and it's earth. It's the elements of planet Earth. This mind that we have is designed to steer and engineer and create and be that. But are we that mind? Well, we know that if people lose their ability to think and rationally, they can be held in a coma state for long times. They're still alive. They're not consciously aware at a level in which they can communicate, but they are still here. So, what keeps us alive and who we really are is this heart. And many times I talk about dropping down into the heart and coming back to the heart and being the heart center. And I will read a message I brought in yesterday for the Global Heart team. So we are coming back into this heart, and what we're realizing is a lot of things are not aligning. And some things that we thought were aligned are not in line. We sort of fooled ourselves because we wanted it to be. And releasing into the light is really about coming back to the truth. There are no lies in the light. It can't happen in the light. The light is pure truth, divine truth, if you will, sovereign truth, whatever adjective or pronoun you want to put it before it is fine. But it's purity. Light is purity. And so what we're doing and need to do right now is to release all of this interference that's going on with our brain and our physicality and around us in our energy fields to the light. In order to do that, we have to become still. We have to take time in our lives to become still. Every night I do kirtan on with Tony Two Cats on the good of the whole. The whole hour is singing these mantras, these songs, and offering ourselves to the world, and not thinking about ourselves, but just becoming part of the sound frequency, part of the worshiping, or not fond of the word worshiping, but honoring the higher beings that are in us, that we are a part of. It doesn't matter whether you, on a religious sense or a practice, you are uh, adhering to this. It's in the sound frequency, and it's in the chanting, and it's in the physicality of being present in that field of light, that each one of us come away with a sense of calm, a sense of security, because the world is not giving that to us right now. The world is giving us no security. It is sending the signal of total distress. It's like an SOS call to the universe. And it's really not necessary, because each one of us have the power within us to change. And if we change, then what is around us changes, because we have this amazing energy field. And the more we grow this energy field, the more it touches out and it consumes all of the energies that are around it, because light is power. And I don't mean power in the sense of control, but it's the power of light, power of life. Anyway, so this morning's card that I pulled, I always pull a card, is this beautiful little card here. It's Shanta Gabrielle produces them there, messages from Archangel Gabriel. And the word right at the top was release. And I said, bingo, I know what I'm going to talk about. It's release. And it says, release any need to cling to the status quo. You are being asked to let go into the power of light, which will allow you to live in your truth, which is the short version of what I just said. And probably easier to listen to that than to me. However, this is the flow. This is what we do. We come into this flow, and I invite you to come into the light of your truth, then the truth of your light. And the first sentence was, release any need to cling to the status quo. This is where we are shifting and changing, and it's hard. It's a challenge, because we are followers. You know, if you follow a band, you're a groupie. So we're groupies, of leaders and symbols, and we like that. We love that energy of being part of a collective that's following something that's meaningful to us. And this is part of our human nature. This is what builds societies. This is what builds communities. This is what makes people, you want to be with them. There's an energy field that we're attracted to. However, if we're in a state of fear all the time, that energy field, you don't want to be near anybody. So what has happened over the past couple of years? Now everybody is suspect. Everybody's a suspect. My neighbor, I can go talk to my neighbor. And in his mind and my mind, you know, unless we express, oh, I've had the blah, 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 we're suspecting them of something. And we're not consciously aware of it. But if you notice, a lot of times you will meet people or deal with people and you'll kind of stand off. And that's a stance of judgment. We are now in a state of being where we are judging everybody and everything. Parents are questioning their children. Children are questioning children. They're not allowed to be children anymore. Everybody is suspect. Everybody could be the bad guy. We don't know. So we've lost our trust. We've lost our community. And how do we rebuild that without light, without love, and without peace? It's impossible. So that's the message today. You're asked, the message was, you are being asked to let go into the power of light, which will allow you to live in your truth. Light and truth. Light and truth. Light and truth come back together. Know that when we allow that to come back together, we are healing. This is the healing process. The healing process is within us. It's not about a medicine. It's not about somebody that's going to make something to make us better. We are already better. We were better before we became ill or out of light or out of energy or out of love. We were born pure light, pure love, pure peace, innocent. We didn't come in with an agenda. This has all been developed through our life experiences. And we have a collective memory in our genetics that remembers the traumas of all our past ancestors. And we're not consciously aware of that. But all of those layers have the ability to be triggered at any point in our lives. I remember at a dowsing seminar was a woman who took us back. She said she wanted to, she took us back to, was it 7 generations? 7 generations. And even though we may not know what 7 generations were or who they were or where they were from, the meditation and the program was to go back 7 generations and speak to those people there and tell them you forgive them. Tell them that you're sorry that they had to go through whatever they had, the pain and suffering you go through. And so in that process, there was a releasing. There was a releasing. And even though I couldn't understand what was being released, I knew I felt different. And it taught me that in releasing, and I've said this several times in my posts lately, if we go back to our ancestors, and even though we may not know, we just blanket send them light and love and thank them for their presence and forgive them for their errors and release them. We are basically allowing their light, the light that they held within them and the light that they are, to begin to flow forward. Now, this may sound ridiculous, but I've been ridiculous for the past 30 years. And it doesn't matter whether people think what I say is ridiculous. I know in my own true practice that when I practice these things, they work. I'm not here to write a book. although I am writing a book as a part of a group that's expressing some of these aspects. The reality is to live it, is to live it. Whatever you read that triggers your heart into living in a better way, in more light and more love and more peace, follow it, practice it. Don't just say, oh yeah, I read such and such a book and it was lovely and it was wonderful, and then not practice it. All of us are receiving information at an incredible speed right now that it's overwhelming. Many of us are overwhelmed. And if you are overwhelmed, just take some time to sit back, calm down. Mantras are good, music is good. Um, Whatever it is that will calm down the brain, because the brain now is on overload. And when the brain is on overload, it's easy to move it in a certain direction. Add fear to that, it makes it even easier to control other minds. Am I going to use the word mind control? Yes, I am. Because if we all come back into our sovereign beingness, which is our heart, it doesn't dwell here, it dwells in our heart, and look from our heart at the brain and what is going on in the brain, we begin to see and learn that I am not this brain. And if I am not that brain, and I'm not going to suggest what you are or who you are, but if I'm not that brain, then who am I? And that's our responsibility right now, is to learn who we truly are. And the only way we can do that is to release who we thought we've been. And where do we release it to? We release it to the light. Where does the light dwell? In the heart. It is the first organ to come to life in the body, even before anything else. It's, it's the center. It's the center that sends the signals to the brain. And then the brain works from that point. But it's the heart. And the heart is the container of light. It's really the candle. And this is your candle. This is your heart. It's the flame of life within us. So collectively, we're evolving. And collectively, we're going to remember many things from thousands of years ago as we release and come back into a field of light. And we're going to be amazed at what we remember. And there are going to be things that we said, I never believed that before. Well, that was what I was told was fake or magic or foolishness. And now you find yourself doing it. And you're saying, how can that happen? It's happening because you've let go of all the stories and all the things you've been told about it and are now experiencing it. It becomes an experiential process. So it's the same thing when people want to teach you something, they want you to experience it. I want you to experience the peace, light, and love that you are. That's been my message for 30 years. I'm not stopping. I'm evolving. But I can't evolve if I'm still focused on all the negative and all the darkness and all the what was and what could be, and not live in this moment of light. And that's what's happening. Mother Earth is generating a light frequency. And this is just coming through right now. There's Mother Earth is generating a light frequency. On the surface, it looks like destruction. On the surface, it looks like we're being punished. Those who want to tell us we're being punished will tell us that because that gives them more power. Focus on me. We have the way out. We have the answer. The answer is in here, right here in your heart. The answers to everything is right here in your heart. Whether you came into the world in a small community or whether you came into the world in the middle of New York City, it doesn't matter. Each one of us have the equal ability to discern how we are here, what we are here to do, and do it with peace, light, and love. It's not easy. It's not easy because we have to undo thousands of years of teaching, thousands of years of control, thousands of years of fear, thousands of years of pain and suffering. And you wonder why you're tired? You wonder why you don't feel good? The good news is most of us chose to be here right now. As preposterous as that sounds, why would we choose to go through this? But many of us are here because we are the strongest and the most dedicated of the strongest and the dedicated. And we knew that this was a time when our energy, our ability to become awake and aware was going to be needed. And we chose. We chose to be here because we knew it wasn't a battle. It wasn't about a battle. It wasn't about Armageddon. But it was about being present and honoring Mother Earth as she shifted into her higher frequencies and dimensions. And it's a gift of love from us to be here with her through this, in spite of all the damage that we've done. But she's moving into higher frequencies. And there is nothing humanity can do to change that. Even if they blow up all of their nuclear bombs, even if they let go of all of their magic tricks, they're not going to stop Mother Earth. They can't own Mother Earth. They can't control Mother Earth. They can destroy major parts of Mother Earth. Yes, they have that power. But what does it serve them? What are they going to do? Get in their rocket ships and go to Mars and the moon and live in their robotic world? What is that? Is that life? That's not life. That's not living. We need to honor ourselves and Mother Earth and bring the light back by releasing the darkness into the light, allowing the light to transform that, allowing the light to create the energy in which the darkness cannot exist. It's the yin and yang. There's darkness and there's light. They don't battle each other, they balance each other. And right now we're out of balance. And so it's not the end, it's a very dramatic change. And the very dramatic change is within us as well as Mother Earth. Mother Earth is a physical giant representation of us. If you look at what's happening there, you can feel the same pain, you can feel the same suffering. You have explosions, you have earthquakes, you have volcanoes, you have floods, you all of those things that are happening in the world is happening in us on an emotional level, an energy level. We're not being punished. We're not being punished. We're being invited to become a higher level of who we are, to transform within ourselves, within our hearts. As Mother Earth moves into the higher dimensional frequencies, so too we are. And she's doing it in the same way that we need to do it, by releasing it to the light. By releasing it, what is the light for her? It's the sun. Releasing it to the light. Taking what's within her and releasing it to the light. Whether she cracks open with an earthquake, spews lava from melts the ice caps on the mountains. This is her way of releasing to the light. And while it appears, and in our world we would look at it as very destructive, so too do we feel that about ourselves when we release things. It feels very destructive. But what I've learned in the past year and a half to 2 years is that the more I release, the larger I feel. The more energy I have contact with, the more energy I have to give and offer the world. So there's a releasing. There's a releasing of what would you call the darkness or the bondage in all of us that needs to take place right now. And I encourage each and every one of you, really from the bottom of my heart, to find those places and moments where you can separate yourself by, methods that are not unhealthy, to come into that heart resonance and remember to get back in touch with that inner peace, because it's there. It has always been there, and it always will be there. It's just we've had it buried under all of this amazing stuff we're doing, talking on these machines, being able to take rocket ships out of space. It's not evil to do those things. It's a natural process of our evolution. But we have to remember that we have to do it with respect. And that we have to honor what the space around us is. Because without the space around us, we don't have any place to exist. It's really simple. It's not giant science here. It's not all of the wonderful skills that people have. I mean, quantum theory doesn't need to be explained. Quantum theory exists. We are part of quantum theory. And it existed before we existed. And it's going to exist after we figure it all out, or think we figure it out. But it's like everything. This is what humans do. They have that aha moment. Eureka, I found it. That epiphany of my wisdom. Oh, the solution, the answer. And how many of those answers have been wrong? And how many answers have we followed in that wrongness and created more damage than good? So you see, let's not jump to conclusions. Let's learn to release what is painful and change. Know that we're going through this together. We're not alone. There's nobody on this planet who is not going through this. Everything is going through this because Mother Earth is going through this. And we cannot, under any circumstances, under complete delusion, separate ourselves from Mother Earth. And that's, this morning, that's the message. As she moves into her higher dimensional frequencies, so too will we go with her through releasing all that is in discord to the light, both around us and within us. The anecdote here is, in the end, is the leaders of our societies are being weakened and they are in fear. They are now gathering together to try and protect what they have created without realizing that if they too would learn to release their hunger for power and control, it would be much easier for all of us. Fear is a weapon of control and takes away your individual ability to bring light into our bodies. We know this at some level and are now learning that it is only a part of a warning system. The alarm is ringing, telling us to move into a safer place. That safer place is a higher point of resonance within us, from where we can observe without attachment. Those are the words that came through me as I did my notes. I don't think about these things. I just allow that higher self to take the energy and the information that's being received from those higher dimensions of who we are as seeds for this world. And in ending, it reads, and so we are now moving as a collective humanity to that light from which pure love flows, like waters from the mountains, to heal and refresh all living presence and aligning with Mother Earth rather than continuing on a path of destruction. So Mother Earth is talking to us. She is speaking to our hearts, not our heads. And it's within our hearts that the power to change really exists. And I'm going to read from yesterday's Global Heart Team message, where we discovered that our process is not about profits or non-profits or being a society or being anything other than these three words: heart-centered consciousness. And we gather to be heart-centered consciousness. And I invite you all to center in that heart consciousness. As we listen from a place of stillness, the noise around us becomes obvious as a field of distraction to our focus. For it is from within our heart that life begins its way to the brain, to communicate we are alive in a body. Our consciousness needs a quiet place to allow its very subtle frequencies to gather and connect in peace. It truly dwells within our heart, where the beating creates a rhythm and a pulsing of sustainable energy. Here in our heart, life truly begins and ends. with conscious awareness arising from within it. And it is where the sacred truth of life is held. Those are the words as they came through me yesterday. And I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal. Each one of you have that ability to listen to that higher level of who you are and bring through the message that are important for you. The messages that will bring you back into heart resonance with who you truly are and release all that needs to be released into the light forever. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being you. Wherever you are, whatever you're going through, know that we are all experiencing the same thing in different ways. Just as we all live in these physical bodies and don't look alike. But we are here together, and we have this opportunity to release, and know that it may not be comfortable, and to temper how much you're trying to release. So if it comes overwhelming, back off a little bit. Releasing takes time. So spread it out over time. But know that this is the season of releasing. It's the season of fall is coming here in New England, and it's when the leaves all drop and they change colors and preparing for the next part of their journey. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you. You are me. We are unity. And know that no matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, you are loved. You are loved because you are love. Underneath everything, when you go back to source, you will be loved. Oh my goodness. I love you all. I see the things scrolling with notes and stuff, and I will read them and send you love as I read them. And if an answer needs to be given, I will do that. But I want to honor each and every one of you and thank you for your presence and your ability to sit and tolerate me for 45 minutes. Sometimes I have a hard time doing that. Anyway, I love you, and we will see you next Friday morning at 10 a.m. And may the blessings of peace, light, and love fill your hearts with exuberance, with blistering, rocketing, wonderful star falling magic. And bring that to the world. Let the fear go. No more fear. Just love. Thank you. Bless you all.